Today, I'm opening up slime from Amazon and seeing if it needs fixing. Hit subscribe and let's get started. Okay, so I actually ordered a ton of slime from Amazon, and I'm so excited to get into this first one, which is a cat paw slime. Now, truthfully, I love cats, so this is why I bought it. There was literally no other reason, and I'm actually so excited to get into this. And I was kind of surprised that there were 4 little balls on the top of the slime, and I think these were also slimes. There was some glitter in there, and then, of course, the main slime, which is a pink jelly cube clear slime, which was actually a really beautiful shade of pink. There was also this giant cat paw charm, which I thought was so cute, and then these 2 smaller ones, and then just a few more little extra add-ins, like some of this holographic glitter and foam beads. The first thing that I wanted to get into, which intrigued me the most, were these 4 little balls of slime, and they all came wrapped in this plastic, so of course I just unwrapped them before I got into them, and they kind of look like giant Orbeez or like kind of giant marbles of some kind. And opening these up was honestly so satisfying because the slime was pretty thick and it kept its shape of a ball. I opened them all up and poked my finger in all of the colors just to see if they were all of the same texture, and also because it was really satisfying to do. Thankfully they were all the same texture, so I thought the next plan of action was probably just to mix them together and see what happens. I say mix together, but I was actually kind of just trying to swirl them together. But the blue one was so strong, it literally made it immediately blue. Honestly, I'm not mad though, because I feel like it'll work really well with the pink main slime. Now, I was so excited for this because I love a jelly cube slime, and not only was the color of this gorgeous, but the texture was also really satisfying too. It was kind of like a putty, but it was still pretty stretchy. So of course I decided to mix in the blue slime I just made on top. Blue and pink always go together so well, and I also just topped it off with some of the extra add-ins before I then placed the giant cat charm on top. I probably could have fit the others on top, but I actually just preferred the one, and I really love how this turned out. Because the charm was so big, it was a little bit hard to mix in, but it was still super satisfying, and with a charm that big, it's kind of just more of a decorative thing. The blue was so strong, it actually looked like there was way more of it, but it was so beautiful mixing these 2 colors together, and I feel like the jelly cubes actually were stained pink, and it kind of looks like a little cat galaxy. Okay, the next slime we have is actually a funny slime. I'm not sure what that means, whether it's the brand or the company. I'm not sure. But I do know that this slime was not what I was expecting and was actually really pretty. This was a clear slime with glitter, but it also looked like there was something else mixed in there. This type of slime is called avalanche slime, and it's basically when there's a little bit of white slime at the bottom of a clear slime, and it all kind of raises up to the top and makes a really pretty merged effect. I've had this slime sat around for maybe 2 or 3 weeks, so I think the effect probably would have looked better if I'd opened it sooner. But that to me is even more impressive that it didn't fully mix after being sat for all of that time. The texture of this was a really thick, clear slime. Again, it was quite putty-like, but was still very holdable and stretchy. And at the very bottom of the slime was this hidden little purple axolotl charm, which was very cute. Personally, I really like this slime as it is, so I don't think we need to fix this one. And it actually kind of makes me want to make more avalanche slimes. Moving on to the next slime, we have one of these slime boxes, which a lot of slime kits come in. We've been doing so well so far, so I'm really hoping this one's good too. And this slime, I guess, was more of a kit than an actual slime, because as I opened it, there were so many different add-ins and things to add into the slime. Of course, there was a slime in here. This just seems to be a kind of clearish yellow slime. And then for the add-ins, there were a ton of different sprinkles and charms, some turquoise blue bingsu beads, and this yellow glitter, and even this super adorable little mold, and then 2 packets of clay. Before I assemble anything, I just want to make sure that the slime is actually okay. And as I opened it, the first thing that hit me was the smell of this. It smelled so good. It was kind of like a pineapple honey fragrance. It was really sweet and just really tasty smelling. And the texture of this slime was just so thick. And it was so satisfying to play with because it literally just held its shape. Not only was it thick, but it was actually surprisingly really stretchy. The 2 other slimes we've opened so far have been thick and stretchy, but not as stretchy as this. This was on a next level. The only thing I will say about this slime is that it wasn't that clear. It looks clearer on camera than it did in person. I think it might be due to the fragrance oil that was used, but to be honest, I love the smell of it, so I wasn't mad about it. The next thing I wanted to do was make this bear out of the clay. Now, they included 2 packs of clay, which is actually pretty generous considering I don't think I would even use a whole one of these, but I just squeezed out all of the air in the clay and then placed it into the mold. As I expected, there was some excess, so I just cut that off, and I had made the cutest little bear clay topper. Next up, I covered the entire top of the slime with a ton of the yellow glitter, added a few of the sprinkles from the sprinkle mix, then topped it with some of the giant white foam beads from the pack, along with some blue bingsu beads. I placed the clay bear in the center of all of this, and this was the finished slime. I'm gonna be honest, it did not look the prettiest. I feel like not all of the colors went together, but because I love the texture and the smell of this, it really wasn't too big of a deal to me. And I was actually kind of more intrigued to see what the clay would do to the texture of this. At first, I didn't really think it changed much, but the more I played with it, the more inflated this became, and it became just so fluffy and airy. And when I put it back into the container, you can literally see how fluffy it got. Next up, we have a slime actually from Shein. This one isn't from Amazon, but I forgot to include it in the last video, so I thought I might as well include it in here. Unfortunately, it did leak a little bit, but nothing too drastic, and it was easily cleaned up. But my first reaction to this slime was, wow. I have never had a slime this crystal clear before. I feel like I may have said that before, but I'm always blown away by clear slime that is just like crystal clear. This was kind of a clear purpley pink colored slime, and it had a few little blueberry charms at the bottom along with a little leaf. It was so simple, but yet so pretty, and I think that's what makes a really great slime, because even if it's simple, if everything works, it just works. So yeah, this one does not need to be fixed. Next up, we have a Decorate Your Dream slime kit. I opened this up to my surprise of there being 2 slimes in here instead of 1, and I absolutely loved the color of these. And there were also a few little dinosaur themed add-ins too. I decided to open up the neon green slime first, and the texture of this was, let's just say, not my favorite. It almost kind of had a bit of a watery feel to it, as in like it was a little bit wet on your hands, and it kind of felt like more like old-fashioned watery putty slime. I decided to open up the orange to see if it was also this texture, and unfortunately it was. I mean, there's definitely people that like this slime texture. I'm just not really one of them. So I decided after all of these slimes that we've opened up, we've not had one to fix yet. So now was kind of my chance. The main thing I wanted to do was just kind of make this softer and a bit thicker and less kind of water slime-like. So I just mixed in some glue and glycerin to kind of melt it down, but also add a bit of thickness to it. This actually surprisingly went in very quickly, and I wasn't mixing this for long before it was a lot stretchier already, but it just still wasn't really doing it for me. It almost felt a little bit rubbery, like it would bounce back at me. I needed it for a while to see if that would maybe soften it up and loosen it a bit, but it didn't really. So I put the slime back into a bowl and then added an entire block of Daiso clay to it. I feel like if Daiso clay can't make a slime texture good, then the slime is kind of too far gone. So I was really hoping that this would kind of just make it a bit fluffier and a bit more like a butter slime now. Now this went in really easily until it just started to completely melt all over my hands. I immediately put it back into the bowl and knew it was time to add some activator to this. Now I only added a tiny little splash because the last thing I wanted to do was make this slime rubbery again. But literally after 2 minutes of kneading, the slime was so much nicer. You can still see here that it's a little bit clumpy, but the more I mixed it, the more those clumps kind of went away. And I was finally happy with the texture of this. Now I wasn't done here. I added these 2 little bags of green clay just to give the slime a bit more color again. I really loved how neon it was to start with, so I kind of just wanted it to be a bit brighter. I then placed it into a fresh container and decided I wanted to decorate it a little bit. I found this really cute, super realistic lime slice charm, and because it's Halloween soon, I added a little Frankenstein and a little eyeball. I finished it off with a few sprinkles and the slime was finally complete, and I really love how this turned out. It definitely looked like a completely different slime now, but you know what? I actually prefer the texture of this a lot more, so I'm not mad about it. Now, of course, we still have the other neon orange slime, and I haven't forgotten about it, but I want to do things differently this time. Instead of adding the glue and the glycerin, I'm just going to go straight in with the clay and see if it does anything, because I feel like if it got so sticky last time, maybe if I don't add the glue, it won't get like that. This was so messy at first, and I really